I've been suffering all my life. I'm sorry. It's not enough.
You have to suffer. You have to make that a tattoo on your brain so when that hard time comes again, you don't forget it.
But you can't change what you really are. And you can forget all this money and stuff you got all around you, man, because it don't change a thing. You and me, we don't even have a choice. See, we're born with a killer instinct that you can't just turn off and on like some radio. We have to be right in the middle of the action because we're the warriors. And without some challenge, without some damn war to fight, then the warrior may as well be dead, Stallion.
We're built to walk uphill. And when you reach the pinnacle of the hill, you want to stop and appreciate the vision, but the next thing you want is a higher hill in the distance, because it's the uphill climb that it's from the uphill climb that we derive our value, and I mean this technically. So almost all the positive emotion we feel, especially the emotion that fills us with enthusiasm, and that's to be filled with the Spirit of God, by the way, because that's what enthusiasm means. That's experienced in relationship to a goal. And so in some sense, and this is part of the religious enterprise, you want a goal that you can never attain, right? So you can always move closer to the goal that recedes as you move towards it. You think, well, that's frustrating. It's like Sisyphus pushing the rock uphill. But it's not, because as you pursue that goal, you put yourself together and your life does get better and richer and more abundant. That's what you are. You're here to live, not to sleep.
Unchosen suffering is going to happen in life. Your parents are going to pass away, loved ones are going to die, your relationships are going to break down, your body is going to fail you, you're going to become ill or sick or destitute. Things are going to happen that you have no control over. And the only way that you can prepare yourself for unchosen suffering is with chosen suffering.
Right.
You can elect to put yourself into a position to become a stronger alloy of whatever the metal is that you're made of. And by purposefully choosing difficult things, you will armor yourself against that situation. It's still going to suck. But think about how much more fragile you would be if you hadn't overcome all of this stuff.
Life is difficult. It really is. What makes life difficult for a lot of people is they don't think life should be difficult. And so therefore, they're looking for a quick way, a quick answer, an easy way. There are none. It truly is uphill all the way. And to go uphill, you have to be intentional. Nobody ever accidentally climbed a mountain. Nobody ever accidentally got up to a new level. If you climb higher, you're intentional. You're putting forth energy, effort, time, muscle to make that happen. Now here's the challenge. We have uphill hopes, but we have downhill habits. That's not a good combination. So if you want to go uphill, get rid of the downhill habits. Quit coasting. No one ever wrote a book on accidental achievements. Nah, it's uphill all the way.
When I started this journey years ago, and I realized that I'm going to be somebody, and I'm searching for a feeling of true victory for myself, and only myself. The second I shut out the whole world and realized that one thing, that I am in this world alone. I'm fighting this race by myself.
You know what it's like to be poor, and you know what it's like to work hard. Now you're gonna learn what it's like to sweep floors and bust your ass and accomplish twice as much as all the kids around you. And it won't mean anything because they will still look down on you. And you will want so much for them to like you, and they just won't. And it'll break your heart. And that'll make your heart bigger and open your eyes, and finally you will realize that there's more to life than proving you're the smartest person in the world.
So what you waiting on? What? Do you dream, Elliot? You scraping so hard like you ain't never asked yourself this before. I said, do you want to be here right now? And I don't mean like here. I mean here in a cosmic sense, bro. Like, existence could be beautiful or it could be ugly. But that's on you. Dream. You gotta find out the future you're fighting for. Sometimes you gotta close your eyes and really envision that shit, bro. If you like it, then it's beautiful. If you don't, then you might as well fade out right now.
You're not grinding hard enough. If you're worried about something that someone did to you years ago, you're being a pussy to yourself, man. You're not getting out there and squeezing that soul out every day.
Yeah.
If you grind hard, man, I ain't got time to worry about your monkey ass. I ain't got time to worry about you, man. Because tomorrow, I got to go back to the grind. And tomorrow, I go back to the grind again and again and again and again. I don't have time to put you into the hate bank. There's no hate. It's all filtered out, man, through the grind. People don't get it. There's great joy in the grind. Great joy in the suffer. It totally cleanses your body out, man, of any kind of hate. Makes you grow up.
The story continues. So if you fail on Monday, the only way it's a failure on Monday is if you decide to not progress from that, right? So to me, that's why failure is not existent. Because, you know, if I failed today, okay, I'm gonna learn something from that failure and I'm gonna try again on Tuesday. And I failed, I'm gonna try again on Wednesday. So
you have to make mistakes. You've been there, you feel it, you understand what it is, and then you have that time to adjust. That's why losing in life is so important. Whether it's getting dumped, getting fired, losing a game, loss, those feelings where things didn't work out your way, that's important because it lets you know this is the bad feeling that comes when it goes wrong, and you improve, and then it makes the good feelings of victory all the better.
Maybe I should just quit and go back to making noodles.
Quit, don't quit. Noodles, don't noodles. You are too concerned with what was and what will be. There's a saying. Yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery. But today is a gift. That is why it is called the present.
Life is essentially suffering, and I believe that to be a fundamental truth. But perhaps not the most fundamental truth, because I think the most fundamental truth is that despite the fact that life is suffering, people can transcend that. And partly the way they transcend that is by pursuing things of value. And so that if there is no value proposition at hand, then you have no meaning to justify the difficult conditions of your life. And that's brutally difficult for people. You know, Nietzsche said, he who has a why can bear any how. And you see, and I've certainly seen this as a clinical practitioner, that people who have no purpose in their life are embittered by the difficulties of their life. And they become first bitter, and then resentful, and then revengeful, and then cruel. And there's plenty of places to go past cruel. That's just where you start if you're really on a downhill path.
Looks like the winds are changing.
Change is good.
Yeah, but it's not easy. I know what I have to do, but going back means I'll have to face my past. I've been running from it for so long. Ow! Jeez, what was that for?
It doesn't matter. It's in the past.
Yeah, but it still hurts.
Oh, yes, the past can hurt. But the way I see it, you can either run from it or learn from it. Ah! You see? So what are you going to do?
There's times when you don't feel like doing what needs to be done to get this. But you got to say, feelings has nothing to do with it. This is my dream. This is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to do the things that I don't feel like doing. I'm going to do the things I don't want to do. I'm going to do the things that don't come easy to me, that do not come natural to me. I'm going to get up and do it. You can't live your life on feelings. You're going to have feelings, okay, but you cannot let your feelings dictate what you are or are not going to do.
I wanted to figure out, is there more to this horrible feeling of feeling like a loser? Can I change this? And once you figure out I have the ability, not through your mom or your dad or through a special school, through you. You have the ability to change this. That's what makes it so mad. Once people put this title on me, you now give yourself a get out of jail free card and say, oh, he's just crazy, he's special, he's unique, he's this and that. You just saved yourself.
from not having to do the work.
From not having to do the work.
Yeah.
And that's why I want people to hear my story. I'm trying to take away all that bull crap that you want to put on me. I'm trying to make you suffer up here to know what, my God, man, he really had a hard way to go.
Wow.
There was nothing special about him. He wasn't talented. He wasn't gifted. He wasn't nothing. He wasn't nothing, and he made it. I want everybody to feel uncomfortable around me.
You have to pay a price before you get the goods. It's just the way it works. And any time you get the goods without paying the price, you begin to get a spirit of entitlement, which will hurt you instead of help you. So look at whatever you have to face or go through and understand two things. It will make you a better person if there's nothing on the other side. It will just make you a better, stronger person. But the odds are, there's something on the other side. I wonder how many times I missed that positive something on the other side because I didn't have courage to take action and open the door. I can promise you, I've had a lot of losses in those areas. You see, most of the losses that we have in life that hurt the most are losses that we never know because we didn't get there.
You know, you got to look at the reality of the situation. You know, like for me, it's not, you know, you kind of got to get over yourself. Like, it's not about you, man. Like, okay, you feel embarrassed. You're not that important. Like, get over yourself.
That's where you go.
Get over yourself, right? Like, you're worried about how people may perceive you, and like you're walking around and it's embarrassing because you shot 5 air balls. Get over yourself, right? And then after that, it's okay, well, why did those air balls happen? Got it. High school, year before, we played 35 games, max, right? Week in between, spaced out, plenty of time to rest. In the NBA, it's back to back to back to back to back to back to back. I didn't have the legs. So you look at the shot, every shot was online. Every shot was online, but every shot was short. Right? I gotta get stronger. I gotta train differently. The weight training program that I'm doing, I gotta tailor it for an 82-game season so that when the playoffs come around, my legs are stronger and that ball gets there. So I look at it with rationale. Say, okay, well, the reason why I shot air balls is because my legs aren't there. I go, well, next year they'll be there. That was it.
There's no growth outside of quiet. The world's too noisy. Your mind needs quiet for you to find who you are. People ask, what's my purpose? Why am I here? You're not gonna find it nowadays unless you lock yourself in a quiet room in your mind and find it. It's too noisy. For me, I could be in a busy street in New York City, horns honking, and I'm walking around with like nothing. It's me and myself in a quiet spot. And when you are constantly reflecting on who you are, where you've been, the journey you've gone through, the journey you can continue going through, the feeling's always there. You don't allow the world to pull you so fast that you forget. You don't allow yourself to pull you so fast that you forget. It's not about staying in that moment.
The heaviest things in life aren't iron and gold, but unmade decisions. The reason you are stressed is that you have decisions to make and you're not making them.
It's the challenges and the struggles and changing shit up that challenges us to create something. It's common physics, guys. So if gravity hasn't changed and all the workouts are pretty much universal as far as the exercises, what's the underlining key to success? The structure of them. How you go about your day, how you order them, how you repair them, how you give them nutrition. All that stuff is the mindset of a champion. Thinking before acting. You don't just go in there and start throwing weight around. You have a purpose for every action. Therefore, every action has a result. This workout here is systematically designed for growth. That's all it's about. But in order to find that growth, you must first feel the pain.
You know, it just became this different mindset. I turned negatives into positives. So I would take it like, who would even think about doing this? So I would sit on my couch saying, who at 297, who can't swim that great, who's scared of the water, would have the balls? Who had the balls to fucking man up, quit a job, and go and just put everything on himself. So it's how I started talking to myself and putting myself in a whole different category, and that would fuel me the next day. And I just kept using that as fuel. No one would do this shit. No one would do this shit. You're the best around. You're the best motherfucker ever lived. And I just kept fueling me with the right kind of message that I needed to hear that I was never telling myself. And through time, it became reality to myself.
It is not going to change.
Now, some winters are long, and some are short, and some are hard, and some are easy, but they always come right after falls. It isn't gonna change. Sometimes you can figure it out, sometimes there's no way to figure it out. Sometimes it goes well, sometimes it gets in a knot. Sometimes it sails along, sometimes it gets in reverse. See, that's not gonna change. The last 6,000 years reads like this: opportunity mixed with difficulty. That's how it reads. It isn't gonna change. The man says, well, if it isn't gonna change, how will my life ever change? Answer, when you change.
Everything changed for me when I realized that we're not meant to feel excited and perfect all the time. I started accepting that where I am right now is where I'm genuinely meant to be. Tough days are all a part of the process. Lean into them. Bad days are also part of a very good and meaningful life. So on my toughest days, I think about getting through one more day, one more workout, one more rep.
Nothing great is going to come without you having to deal with what I call adversity and pain tolerance. You must be able to deal with that. And the more understanding you have of what's causing you the pain and how you've dealt with it is going to determine how successful you will be in whatever you choose in life.
You can define commitment by eliminating alternatives. So if you're committed, you've eliminated alternative actions. Right? Like you can say I'm committed, but until you eliminate other options, you're not committed.
There's always a get out of jail free.
Right. And so a lot of people make decisions to end relationships, to quit their job, to start the new thing, but they don't become committed to the decision until they remove the other options. And then you're forced to take action on. And so I think actually defining those two different things. Now you could define, decision as to kill off, like decidere from Latin, but from a colloquial thing, I think there are two different instances. It's like, I need to change this, and then I do change it. And the making the decision is when it becomes a commitment.
The idea of pursuing happiness, not leading to happiness. You pursue things that have meaning in life and things that you care about. Love, challenges, relationships, and happiness might ensue. But you don't pursue the happiness itself because it's inevitably not going to be there all the time. So if you're just constantly seeking more happiness and it's not there, then you're seeking something that's never going to be there. But if you're able to just stick in what you're doing right now, and in those hard times, believing they're going to lead to good times, it just creates a lot less friction in your life, And I think whenever we're going through a hard time, we just want it to end. But it's those moments that allow us to appreciate the good ones.
You know how so many different things brain can get distracted on, and I'm going to put focus on this and focus on this and focus on this. Do you think one of the edge you had over everybody else was the biggest percentage of your focus was on one thing? Do you see it that way? Like that was my edge over everybody else?
I do. At the time, I didn't really understand that, right? So, basketball for me was the most important thing. So everything I saw, whether it was TV shows, whether it was books I read, people I talked to, everything was done to try to learn how to become a better basketball player. Everything. And so when you have that point of view, then literally the world becomes your library to help you to become better at your craft.
If you can dream and not make dreams your master, we all have dreams. I had it when I was younger. So I figured the best place to make those dreams come true are in isolation. So I walked into isolation as David Goggins, but I walked out of isolation as Goggins. When you become a savage, is in isolation. When you're training for a big MMA fight or just a boxing match, you don't stay outside of isolation. You go in isolation. And that's when your mind changes. That's when your focus changes. Your dedication changes. Don't use this time to fuck up your mind. Use it to gain strength, gain focus. Isolation is the key to strengthen your mind. Come on, savage.
You want to be able to say that in the mirror to yourself and not laugh at yourself. And the only way that I can do that is know that when no one's watching, I work harder than when they're watching. And thinking about it like that has given me this persistent and ever-present scorecard or third party that's like, no one's watching, which means now you have to work because otherwise you're full of shit. And so it's this continuous reinforcing cycle of the me and other me holding the whip behind me to see how much I can take. But with each lash of the whip that I take, learning that I can take it and continue to trudge on. And so as long as you keep going, you bear witness to yourself of what you are capable of. And I find that incredibly satisfying in the trenches of misery when you have to go through it.
You never know. You never know when your time can come. It could be today, it could be tomorrow, it could be next year. But if you stop now, you'll never get to find out. That should hit deep, don't it? Stop being soft and keep going. Keep pushing. I believe in you, bro.
I realize this. This is the world that is in front of me. And what most people do is they see this world and they look at it as an excuse to get out of it. Yeah. I started looking at it as this is the ultimate training ground for the rest of my life. Mm-hmm. I have all these valuable lessons because if you look out in the world right now today, it's not a nice place, but I'm very prepared for it. Yeah, you are. I'm prepared for it. I'm prepared for all the failure coming my way. I'm prepared for everything my way. And that's the biggest lesson that she taught me by not teaching me, by never saying it's gonna be okay. Yeah. Matter of fact, she told me the exact opposite. Life sucks.
And if you're going to do anything at all, the only time you're going to get any joy out of it is if you do it well. You see, when we do something well, it gives us a feeling of self-esteem and pride. We feel like a winner. But if we do things in an average way, it doesn't give us anything. You notice that? It doesn't give us anything. We do it in an average way, it doesn't give us anything. But if we do it in a really exceptional way, it makes us feel wonderful about ourselves. That's why the companies that have committed to excellence are not hundreds of % better in any given area. What they are is they are 1 or 2% better in 100 different areas. And that's the key. You see, you don't have to be a quantum leap different from somebody else. You just have to be a little tiny bit different in the critical areas that make a difference. And you can achieve that simply by making it a goal, setting it as a goal, and working on it. You can become anything that you want to become. The harder you work, the better you get. The harder you work, the better you get.
You can't just go through life just showing up, eating, sleeping, and going to sleep. You're going to get depressed. Like your organism, the human organism, needs problem solving. It needs complex problems. It needs stress. It needs some sort of difficult thing that you have to overcome. And through that, you relax. You can't just have happiness all day. That you have to do those things. You have to suffer. You have to live in it. You have to be comfortable in it.
No one came down and trained me on how to be happy, how to find peace, how to do this and that. That's why I'm so glad I found it through suffering. The greater the suffer, the greater the peace I found. But you have to reflect on where you came from the dungeon of hell that I came from. I had to reflect on that shit to find final peace and be able to say, wow, motherfucker, if you die in this bed at 40 years old, I'm the happiest in the world because I did it. I pissed people off along the way. Some people don't like me, Merry Christmas, whatever. But you can finally look in the mirror and you can cuss on damn rich roll shit and don't care what they say about you and be happy with it.
I think a lot about that from the climb perspective, which is like most of everyone who's listening to this who isn't achieving what they want is fucked with their time. They think that they're spending all their time working, but your output, like you don't even know how to work. I'm being really real with you. Like you think you know how to work, you don't know how to work. Like the amount of output, like, and I'll measure this by like, what is your output? It's probably not as high as you think. And so rather than trying to learn all these productivity hacks, the ultimate productivity hack is no. N-O, is you stop doing shit. And then when you create space, then you can fill it with the thing that matters. But trying to add on more to your schedule of all the things that you're not willing to sacrifice is the very reason that you're not doing what you need to do.
When you step into the challenge zone, the number of excuses for getting out, back into your comfort zone from there, multiplies. I'm too tired, it's too difficult. I'm having a bad day. Nobody likes me. And so I would teach them to
face up to those excuses and refuse to be a victim, and teach them a fighter mentality about all those things may be there, but I'm still going to do it. I'm going to deal with it. So 1,000 excuses, but not one reason not to achieve. And even if you don't achieve at the highest level, you may not have the same genetic disposition as somebody else.
I had lived hell. And when you put yourself in hell, that's the only time you can figure out how the fuck to get through that. You can't read somebody else's book about some theory on how to do shit. Some guy who sat up in a nice warm office and wrote some book with a nice cup of coffee in the fucking hand. No, I want to see that guy who immersed himself in hell. And he thought about quitting and leaving and his wife and his kids. And why am I here? Is it worth it? All this crazy shit? And still said and found out a way to get through it. So basically that's the bottom line of it all. We all want to read about how we can quickly get somewhere. That's why the 6-minute abs and all sort of shit is so powerful. You may get some results from it, but they're not permanent.
In everybody's journey, where they are so different because they've started to do new things that they no longer fit in with their old set of friends, but they're not sufficiently developed that they've gained their new set of friends, and they're unsure. Should I go back? Should I lean back into getting a bag in with the boys on a weekend? Is that the highest, way that I can live my life passion forward? Because that's what everybody else does. When all of my friends are taking the piss, oh, not drinking again. Too good for us, are we? Not going out again this week. Oh, okay, well, enjoy staying in home and reading, fucking nerd. So you're going to feel the pain of being ostracized from the group of friends that you used to have, but you're stuck in this messy middle where you haven't yet worked out who you are on the other side of this. And that lonely chapter that's in the middle is something that I would say almost nobody that I've ever met who has gone from a place where they are to a place where they want to be hasn't gone through.
A lot of you are trying to find inspiration and motivation with a depressed mindset. You're depressed because you're not doing shit with yourself. You don't find inspiration by not living in the grip of life. You need to live in the grip of life to find inspiration. Put challenges in front of yourself. When you put a challenge in front of yourself and you attack it, that's when you find inspiration. Try to be 10% better than you were last week. So if you're running 30 miles a week, run 33. If you're swimming 500 meters, swim 550. If some of you aren't doing shit, your 10% is just getting off the fucking couch. The more you walk away from accountability, the weaker you become. Find yourself in the grip of life. You can't find yourself by doing nothing.
Sometimes 4 years of college and a degree is part of your path to get where you're going, if for no other reason to teach you discipline. I have to study. I have to do finals. I can't go to that party. I can't go to there. I can't do that because I'm having a hard time in chemistry. It doesn't come easy. And so I've got to discipline myself, and I have to sit down and I have to spend this evening studying so I can pass that test tomorrow while all my friends are out partying and having fun. You got to have some personal discipline. Sometimes the only thing that keeps people in life from succeeding is just a lack of discipline.
It's a tendon. I'm not dealing with anything that's muscular or things that I can control. I can't control a tendon. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. And then thinking about what that process of recovery is going to look like. It's a long one. Do I want to do that shit? I don't know if I want to do it. I don't know. So that was the hardest part.
You don't know if you want to do it, or you don't know if you are going to be able to come back from it.
Both.
Oh,
both. I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I want to do it.
Got it.
It's a long process. But when I went in the trainer's room, my kids are in there, and they're looking at you and stuff, and I'm looking at them, and I'm like, it's all right. Dad's gonna be all right. It'll be fine. It'll be all right. It'll be all right. It'll be all right. As a parent, you gotta set the example. You gotta set the example. This is another obstacle. This obstacle cannot define me. It's not gonna cripple me. It's not gonna be responsible for me stepping away for the game that I love. I'm gonna step away on my own terms. And that's when the decision was made that, you know what? I'm doing it. I'm doing it.
You've got to put in the work when nobody cares.
You know, nobody cared if I practiced. Nobody cared if I worked out. I didn't have parents who are like, hey, you know, Dan, you got to go to the gym. Oh, hey, Dan, you know, go out and run some sprints. Nobody cared. If you want to transform, you have to do the work if nobody cares. There's only one person who has to care. That's you. You've got to care. You've got to want. And the reason I think is different for everybody to want. Some comes out of pain. Some comes out of, you know, I want to prove somebody wrong. And then I think some people just have that switch inside.
Why most people don't want to do that, build that willpower, is because it is scary. It unlocks a whole bunch of things about who you are and who you're not. And a lot of people don't want to go down that journey to discover who they are and who they're not. Because it's not a pretty journey.